Hello everybody, welcome back. Carl again. I know it's been some time since I've done a video and I finally have some free time today here. So I just want to run through briefly my install process on these driving lamps or fog lamps, whatever you want to call them. Now I got these on eBay and I'll try to put a link below. I've had these for probably 6 months or so. And just a couple things I did to get these to work on the Road King Special. First, you're going to need, as you can see, I have a windshield. You're going to need the factory Harley windshield mounting hardware, which is basically just a carburetor stud that goes over there, and then the castle nut, or chrome dome nut, whatever you want to call it. You will need to get the spacing right. So the factory windshield hardware will go on first. So the rubber grommet will go on first. That's what the window actually clips around. I then put a washer on, and then another washer to get this spacing right between the chrome bracket and then the arm of the fog light there. So you can see I have the rubber washer goes first, so the window, this chrome of the window will actually fit in, and it's like this on the top and the bottom. And then there is a couple spacers, just enough to allow, there's a small recess here, so you need to make sure that there's enough space when you put the fog light on, it doesn't pinch down against the window. So I just wanted to talk about that. In the video where I go through a lot of the installed pieces, I also talk about doing it on a fairing. I did buy a Reckless fairing for this bike, and I've now taken it off. I'm kind of back and forth. I'm not quite sure how I feel about the fairing. I like looking out of the front of the window here and actually seeing kind of the road. But nevertheless, that's a personal preference. The other thing I want to talk about is, you can see here is the, this is the wire from the fog light, and I'm going to go through how I wired this up here in a bit. And what I did was I bought factory connectors. Let me just back you up a little bit. So I bought these factory connectors. So from the factory you have this female end here is what is actually on the bike. So you have a 4-pin and then a 6-pin. And what I did was I bought the male connectors here, a 4 and a 6 as you can see. And so I actually have this, the pigtail from the turn signal down here, the running lamp and the driving lamp or fog lamp into one of these factory connectors. So I unplugged the stock harness, which actually controls these lights here, and that way if I ever want to take the fog lights off and go back to what I had, I didn't cut any wires, so it's simply a plug-and-play installation. So on the left side here is a 4-pin, which is this one here, and then on the right side is the 6-pin, even though only 4 pins are used. Now in the factory connectors, there's only actually 3 wires because it doesn't have the driving lights. What these connectors here were is I thought I could plug this into the factory harness and then actually run both the driving light here and then the factory driving light up top. But it didn't work that way. For whatever reason, if you plug that one in, only this bulb runs, probably because it's incandescent and it draws more current, actually takes away from this one, the aftermarket LEDs. So that's why I happen to have these just laying around. I didn't show that, but in the wire and in the manual, it's pretty clear on which wire goes where in the service manual of in this connector. They're actually labeled 1 through 6 and 1 through 4, and they tell you which wire does what. So anyhow, let's get into the installation video. If you have any questions, put them down below, and once again, thanks for taking your time and watching this video. Okay, let's put together a switch lead for the Road King fog lamps. So what I have here is simply just a regular on-off toggle switch. This one is a non-lighted, so it only has 2 poles. I then have a rubber boot cover to try to keep some of the water out. So this will actually mount in the nacelle. That'll turn on, and that'll give me the ability to turn the fog lights on and off. I then have it go into some red crimp connectors. And this is actually a Molex plug from a computer power supply. So you can just get this plug. I switched the wires around, but it doesn't make a difference. Essentially, one of the wires is power, the other one is the input to the BCM. So once you put power to that input, it tells the computer to turn the fog lights on. So then I just have it going there. And this is just a simple little
The whole thing is about 12 inches long, so probably 8 inches of wire here. And that'll go into the cell, and then this will plug into the connector, which I'll show you out on the bike. Also, just another note, I put some heat shrink tubing so I can try to cover these terminals up and keep some of the water off. And then I'm going to wrap this in electrical tape. Alright, and there you go. I went ahead and shrunk the heat shrink tubing down, and then added just a quick layer of some good 3M electrical tape. Try to keep the water off, and that's it. Alright, so let's go put it on the bike. Okay, so here's the switch where it mounts. I have it where when you push it up, it's on, and you push it down, it's off. As you can see on this side over here, there is a plastic cover that covers the hole. You just pop that out, and that switch will go in. And then here is the harness. You can see what you want to do is connect the red wire and the blue wire together. When you connect them together through the switch, it tells the BCM to turn the fog lights on. Originally when this came, this white wire for the fog light or driving light was just running straight down. This was obviously connected here for the turn signal. Now there's no wiring directions, but there's 4 wires on these LED turn signals. And if you pull the module out, you can see that there is 4 wires. So black is ground, red and green. Red, I believe, is a bright white, so that'd be like your flasher when it's flashing. Green would be like your driving light, or running light. And then this white wire, I'm not really sure what it is. There was another diode right here, which I went ahead and removed. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to I just ran this wire here through this little hole, and I'm going to feed it down through this, and then I'm just going to solder it to this white wire on the back side here. And then what that'll do is that'll make this white wire the driving light. So let me just run this down here. Driving light wire out. So I have a little slack that I can push up into the fog light housing or driving light. Geesh. Alright, being that we're this far, let's give it a try here. So I'll go ahead and put the black to ground, and let's see, let's do red. So that's LED. Hopefully it's not so bright on the camera. And then green is I'm not sure if you can tell, but that's dim. So to me that would be your like running light when the motorcycle's running, and then when you want the flasher, you would bring in this red wire here. And then because I don't have this grounded, it's not gonna show. So if I just move this over and then touch the wire here, you can kind of see. So I got the white wire hooked up, and then once I touch the ground on this point, you can see that the light comes on. Now also, I forgot to mention, what I did was I took a socket here. This is an 11/16. You could also use 17mm, and I cut a kind of a recess in it here just using the flats, And that is so I can get this socket here over top of that wire, and I can loosen and tighten.
Okay, I'm going to start the install of the driving lights. I'm just going to take the old mountain hardware out. This is the docking hardware for the window, just those kind of rubber mounts. Now I'm also going to be installing the fairing from Reckless on here. So I have a rubber washer just to protect the black there, and then the hardware supplied by Reckless. Also, I'm going to be moving to these studs here. So I'm going to thread those in. I'm just doing 2 nuts here to drive the stud in. Now I'm just going to go until the threads in the... I'm essentially driving that all the way in until it hit the black of the nacelle, hits this smooth part there. So now my neoprene washer and then the hardware from Reckless will go on. Now I've kind of already planned some of this out. So this is the factory washer that was originally on this nacelle when I pulled the bolts out. So I'm going to put that on just to take space up. Alright, so I'm going to have to put the fairing on first. So once I get the fairing on, I can then tighten these nuts down, and that'll cinch the fairing down, and then I can put the light here on like this, and then I'm going to put a washer on, and then that castle nut. So let me just get the other side squared away, and then I can get the fairing out and actually bolt that up. Alright everybody, thanks again for watching. This is the finished product here. As you can see, I do have the window on and not the fairing, but there are the lights on. You can see the turn signals on the right here. The left looks the same, and then this is what it looks like with the lights off. Alright, and if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask them down below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And once again, thanks for watching.